Hey everybody! So, exciting news today. The leather dye kit for the E46 convertible back there showed up last night. So today, we're going to be looking at re-dyeing the leather and the vinyl in that car. Never done this before, so let's just crack on and see how it works. So first off, this is what I'm using. I ordered this kit from Auto Leather Dye in Roanoke, Virginia. It arrived yesterday and it has a cleaner, there's a applicator sponge, towel for wiping it down, and the actual leather dye itself, Beige 2, which they list on their website. You can order that color direct. So I didn't send a swatch of leather into color match, but I've taken their Beige 2 out of off their website and ordered that. And now, big shout out to these guys. When I ordered it, they got a package together, sent it out. Something happened with the courier. It got lost, never showed up here. So once I realized I couldn't actually track it, got in touch. They were right on it, put another package together. That day was back out in the courier, and it arrived in the 3 days as promised. So big thank you to Leather Dye, Auto Leather Dye. We're going to start with the armrest cover. It's got some wear on it, as you can see here. It's been cleaned. All the parts that are out of the car have been cleaned with just a leather cleaner from an auto parts place. So we're going to start with their cleaner and then start dyeing, and we'll see how it goes. So we have our leather cleaner here. We have our leather part, and we have this little scrub pad that they sent to use for cleaning. So let's spritz some on. A rag. These are actually clean and laundered. Let's just see. We'll get more dirt off. Oh my goodness. Certainly are. Wow. That's starting to do a good cleaning. So we'll crack on with the cleaning and then we'll come back when we're ready to put the dye on. So, ready to go. I have shaken the leather dye as instructed. They recommend decanting a little into a container, so I've just got a margarine container here. You can dip in rather than trying to pour it out of the jug onto the sponge. And we're going to have a go and see how this goes. They recommend several thin coats instead of a couple of heavy coats to get this covered. And they suggest using a hair dryer in between to help dry between coats. So we're going to put the first thin coat on and then we'll go from there. I should also point out, I forgot to do that I put some masking tape around the release button and the little hinges here so I don't get dye on those and try and have to clean it off. Okay, thin coat as instructed. Okay, we're going to use the hairdryer, dry it, and we'll see what it looks like. So first coat on, and you can see it's a thin coat because you can still see where the wear is over here a little bit, where the dye had worn through with just arms going on it. So that's the first coat. Use a hairdryer on it. So I'm going to apply a couple more coats here, and then I'll show you how it's come up, what it's starting to look like. Okay, so here's the armrest now with about 4 coats put on, thin coats. Covered really well. I did find the easiest way to apply it was to use a sponge and to dab it on, and then use the drier parts of the sponge to sort of smooth it out, rather than just wiping it on. Seem to get a more even coverage that way. But it is covered really nicely. It's dry, it feels like leather still, it doesn't feel like it's painted. And clearly it doesn't fix. It's a little bit of broken stitching from wear here, but other than that, that basically looks like a brand new armrest now. So I'd say this is going to work very well. And we're going to move on now to the side panels in the back of the car. So this is the lower side panel for the back seats, and I cleaned it, and I cleaned it with the cleaner that came with this kit. You can see, I think, the dirt that's come off again. So I guess my personal recommendation from that is, if you're going to order it as a kit with the cleaner, not just the dye, because it's pretty good. It's very good. So these aren't that faded, because I think because they're so low down in the car, they don't see that much sun. So I'm just going to dab a little of the dye on. I'm coloring them so that everything is the same color. And everything is the same sheen, the same look and finish. So it's just dab it on, rub it, dab it. So you can barely see any color difference at all here. So I'm going to just finish doing this, and then we'll work on the panel that goes in between here. Okay, so I have both pieces of the side panels re-dyed now. You can see they're both the same color. There's no other fading. I've also done the armrest. So again, we have exactly the same color again. So these are pretty well ready to start putting together. I'm going to work on the other panels there, and then we can start the assembly process. Excellent. Very pleased with how it's come out. Okay, so we've been working now on the other parts inside the car. We have one of the rear headrests done. Haven't touched that one yet. I'm not sure in the video you can see much difference, but this is a slightly beigeier color. You can see I masked off where the aluminum trim is. I've done this panel here now. I've masked off the edges. And if you look over here, this is the filthy old one that hasn't been touched yet. You can see it's a lot, sort of almost a pinky shade, as well as being filthy. So this one's back to the beige color. We are going to do this back panel, go where the soft top goes, eventually, once I can get to it. So we're getting close now to being able to put these panels back all on the side here, and then we'll do the seats and get the seats in. Another item we're going to work on is the park brake boot. Like most of the other parts, where the sun gets at it, it's faded, funnish greeny beige, and then when it's typically folded down, the areas that are folded you can't see are pretty much near the original color. So we're going to clean it up as well and get it all dyed. is 4 light coats put on this. It's done. Soft. Looks like brand new. Working well. So, time to start working on the seat back now. We do exactly the same process on this that we've done on the other parts. Another thing I noticed here is on the rear seat cushion is these marks here that I believe are probably from a dog or something. I suspect one of the owners flipped the seat forward and let the dog hop up into the back here, and its claws have caught this a bunch of places. So we'll see how well the dye works on that as well. Try it and I'll show the results. Okay, so I had just finished 4 coats of the dye on the rear seat cushion here. Come up beautiful, and for the most part those marks that were there from whatever, I assume a dog, but they have disappeared or blended in significantly, so it's come up super well. I mean, effectively looks brand new back here. It's getting ready to start putting the leather dye on the door panel here. This is the passenger side one. Driver's side one is still in the car. That's going to be coming out in a little bit once we start to get some of the interior back in. I have some room. So this just illustrates here, these are the various shades of beige you end up with over the course of time. The top section here goes almost a pinky kind of beige, and then this is sort of a vinyl. This is the leather, and it goes what I call a greenish hue to it. And then the lower section here almost looks slightly browny or slightly darker, I'm not sure. And you can see the difference here is where the armrest goes. So this hasn't seen sun. You can see the difference here. So this is what we're obviously trying to fix with the leather dye and having it all a consistent color. So same process as every other part. I'll show you after a coat, and I'll show you after the 4 coats, and we can compare. All right, for first thin coat of dye on. Certainly looking better, but you can still see the different colors there, so I'm going to keep building up. Like I said, probably most of the parts I've done have been around 4 of these thin coats, so I'll carry on and I'll show you the results after we got 4 coats out. Alright, so here's the door panel done, 4 coats on it, dry. Oh, it's ready to be assembled and then put back on the car. Alright, so now I've just started the process of doing the final cleaning on the passenger seat, which will be the next part I'm going to put the leather dye on. And again, all I wanted to illustrate here is the difference. This was cleaned with just the auto parts place cleaner. This was cleaned with the cleaner that came with the kit. And not only is it obviously significantly cleaner, the shine's gone. So it's taken the oils and greases and things that just naturally get there over 20 years of people sitting on them, taking them off so that the dye can have a chance to bond on here properly. It's never going to stick to this with all the oils and greases still in it. So I did here just a little bit, and down here, and this bolster so far. So I just can't emphasize enough. Clean, clean, clean before we start putting the dye on. Alright, so now we're going to move on to doing the re-dyeing on the seats. This is the passenger seat, passenger front seat. All cleaned already, so I have done the headrest already there. You see I masked off so I don't get the dye on the trim. And then we're just going to start on the back and the cushion. So working on the third coat of the dye here. Thought maybe it might be a good time to go through some of the techniques that I've developed, if you will, or tried as I've gone through all this dyeing here. What I found is, first one, you tap it on, pat it on for the first two coats. You seem to get a more even coloring rather than wiping it on. That sort of leaves streaks. So I've done that for the first two coats. And then by the third coat, we can wipe it on, which goes on a lot quicker. So you can wipe it and then just pat it, tap it to even it out. So for the third and fourth coat, that's what I've been doing. I also found one of these little sponge brushes really good for getting in the seams and everything. So you can put that in there, and then you can wipe. Also, you can get the whole back done in one go and then dry it with the hair dryer at the same time, and you seem to get a much more even coat. Alright, so here's the seat done. All four coats of dye on it. It's been all cleaned up, detailed, and put back together. So we take a closer look. I'm sure you'll be able to see this in the video, but the areas here that had the all the creases and the wear and the old dye coming off have come up really, really nice. The bolsters just look amazingly good. For a 21-year-old seat, this dye has done wonders. It looks virtually brand new. And like all the others, it feels nice, it feels soft. So it's been, all the tracks have been cleaned, even down to the seat belt latch being detailed up so it's not faded anymore. And this one's ready to go in the car now. Alright, so I do have the interior completely back in to the E46 convertible behind me here. All the leather dye has been completed and everything's been cleaned up. So I thought I'd just very briefly walk through and show you the final result, what it looks like, what we actually accomplished. So regards the actual dye, set from auto leather dye, Beige 2 in our case, which they call BMW 22. I ordered the 32-ounce kit, which is supposed to do the entire vehicle interior, and I have about that much left. So I'm close to using it all to do front seats, back seats, door panels. So I think that's pretty accurate. Alright, so what we actually did the leather dyeing on. Door panels, door armrests, all refurbished. Seats, front seats. All redone. Center armrest, we redid. The rear panels and the rear armrests. The rear seats. And the convertible top cover. So that's everything we did the leather dye on. Personally, I think it looks amazing. It's so much better than all the faded colors, and it's a very, very good match to the dash that we didn't touch. Alright, so I hope that video was helpful to you, and probably a bit long, but I hope it showed you how I did it and what can be accomplished with some leather dye and some cleaning to bring these older cars back to life. Thank you very much for watching, everybody, and stay tuned for more videos.